Okay, welcome everybody to Classroom 2 live session today. My name is Lorna Costantini. I'm very happy that you've joined with us today. I'm happy to be here with Kim Case and Peggy George, our regular co-host. And today we've got a special presentation all about explorers with our guests Gerald Aungst and Lauren Zucker. Each time, as some of you already know, we gather to discuss technology, tools, and issues. We're glad that you're here to join us in one of our great discussions. Our broadcast is about an hour in length, and it is recorded if you haven't been here before. And the link to the full video, audio recording, and the chat log will be posted at Classroom 20 live site, which I think we've posted for you before. We do have a share tabs link for you today, and I know that during the show, Peggy or Kim will drop the link in for you so that any of the links or discussion or background material will be available for you at the end of the show. Each week, we try to do a newbie discussion, question of the week, so you're ready with your ideas or questions before the show. And we'll look forward to answering that question in just a minute. I want to go through, for anyone new in the chat room, some of the features here with Illuminate and how you can participate. First of all, one of the things you're going to be doing is answering poll questions, and so that in here, you'll find the poll questions a check mark or an X, and you'll use that to register your vote in the poll question. I find it really confusing sometimes that that's where you check and that's the only place you check, but sometimes when the list populates, I make the mistake of going over and putting my check or my X in that line beside everybody's name. So try to use the right check or X to cast your vote. To the left of the check and X, you'll find some emoticons for displeasure, thumbs up, thumbs down. So you can use those through the show as you like. There's an applause as well. If you do want to ask a question, and we sometimes can give you access to the microphone, on the left you'll see a hand. So if you click on the hand, then you're going to see someone's asking a question. More than likely, those kinds of opportunities will be near the end of the show after our presentation. So that's when you'll probably be doing that. A lot of your conversation and participation is going to be in the chat window. And at the bottom of the chat window here, you're going to see a send to message. So what you do is type underneath the participant window, and you click on send for your message to go forward. You do have to pay attention. I don't remember, do we have a special slide for that? No, we don't. That it's sent to this room. And so if you find that your messages look like they're blue, you'll be talking to the moderators, or you can talk to someone else in the chat room by clicking on the down arrow, and you'll get a list of the different people who are in the chat room. So if you want your message to go for everyone to see, you need to go to this room. If you want to go to the moderators, you click on the down arrow to get the moderators, as Peggy, Kim, or myself. And if you want to talk to someone else in the chat room, click on their name. Remember to go back to send to this room so you're making it active for everyone to see. And just a heads up that the moderators can see every conversation that's going on, so you might want to keep that in mind. Again, in the bottom left-hand corner here, we have the microphone. So if and when you're given access to the microphone, you need to activate it by clicking on the microphone. It will turn yellow. And please, when you're finished with your question, click it off, because it makes it sometimes difficult for the broadcast if you leave it on. We pick up your noise. And some of the people are typing away, and that has happened, but don't worry about it. If you are going to participate, you do need a headset so that we'll be able to talk back and forth without any echoing going on. Just going through my notes here to make sure I cover everything. When I've done that part, talking about how you display the content for the show, you will find that your is probably in this format with the chat window, participants, microphone, and the whiteboard. You can change the way the presentation goes. If you just want the whiteboard, click on whiteboard. You're going to find this whole menu under the view button, and you'll find the whiteboards under layouts, and take the layout that you choose. You can also resize the whiteboard or the different windows by clicking on the right lower hand corner to resize your window. I'm going to ask you to participate by trying out the laser tool. And the laser tool is located right about here on your toolbar. It's a, let's see, I think Kim has a picture of this. It's a funny little icon. It looks like a starburst at the end of it, and we'll use that to show where you are located on the map in a second. As I've gone through the slides, I noticed that I did miss one, and so if I'm going to take a second, I'm going to backtrack. We do have closed captioning available for you, so if you check on the toolbar under the CC, it represents closed captioning, and we're very fortunate to have Tammy Moore in the chat room who does this for us every week, and Tammy's been a guest for us as well, so we thank Tammy very much for providing that service to us. So if anyone does have someone who has a hearing impairment, please let them know that they can still participate with Tammy's assistance. So I'm going to go back to using the laser tool where everybody has to get involved here, because what I'm going to show you now is a map of the world. And if you haven't already told us where you are in the chat room, take the opportunity now. I've activated everyone's pointers, so get your laser pointer and click where you are on the map. So we seem to have someone in South America. We seem to mostly our guests today are in North America, Canada, and Muriel, I saw you there, that you're in Toronto. I'm in St. Catharines, Ontario, so it's great. Nice to see everybody here this morning. I think I've given you a quick overview of the Illuminate features, and I'm now going to turn the microphone over to Kim, who is our expert in the poll questions. So, ready to
Good morning.
Thanks, Kim.
Sure,
Go ahead.
thank you. Thank you very much, Lorna. And we're going to be answering some poll questions. So let's go ahead and get started. The first question is the allaboutexplorers.com website. Is this new to you, a new website? We're going to be talking about the website, ways to use the website in the classroom. If you haven't checked out the website, you're going to want to use it, and we are so excited that you joined us. So if this is a new site today for you, please click the green check. If it's not a new site, then click the red X. And I'll give you a few more seconds to vote, and then we'll post the results. Okay, and it looks like about 25% in the group are not familiar with the website, and about 64% are. So that's a great percentage that are familiar with the website. So let's go on to our next poll question, and let me change your polling options. And which of the following tools have you used to teach students about evaluating internet sites? A, rubrics, B, web quests, C, checklists, D, wiki pages, and E, other. If you've used all of those, just pick one of them, the one maybe that you've used the most to teach students about evaluating internet websites. I'll give it a few more seconds to vote in, and your polling choices are located right next to the blue door to indicate that you're away. And let's go ahead and get the results. And it looks like C has the largest majority, but the rubrics have 23%, and the web quests and treasure hunts, about 23% of the group here has used those. 30% have used checklists for students to evaluate websites, and about 6% have used wiki pages to evaluate websites, and other 10%. So that's an interesting site amount and percentage. And we're going to be talking some more about evaluating websites, and that's one of the primary goals of the website. And right now I'd like to introduce introduce our special guests, Lauren and Gerald.
Say, Kim, Lauren, we've lost her, so we have to wait a minute till she gets back in with us.
Okay. Gerald, if you can tell us a bit about yourself and your background, and start with a little bit about why you came up with the site and the design, and about how we can use this website in our classroom with our students, and then go on into some really exciting things about the website. So Gerald, welcome, and go ahead and take it away.
Hi. While Lauren's working on getting herself back online, I've been a teacher, an elementary school teacher, for about 18 years. I've taught in the regular classroom. I've also taught in gifted classrooms. Lauren is a library media specialist in our district, and she's back. And about, I don't know, it was 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, we were talking about how we can develop skills in our students to be better users, more critical users, I guess, of internet websites. We found that our students, when we were asking them to do research online, typically they would go right to Google. They would type in what they were searching for in Google, and the first thing that came up in the list, that's what they would use as their resource. Lauren, feel free to jump in here anytime too. And I know Lauren had gone to a workshop on teaching internet literacy and some of these critical thinking skills, and there were a number of sites out there that were available for teachers to use to help their students learn these skills. The problem was that the majority of them are geared towards secondary education. Either the content was just over their heads, or in some cases there was some stuff that was inappropriate for our students, and we just didn't want to go there. And in doing some research and looking around, we found that there really wasn't anything that was geared. So we decided to put the explorers. Essentially, the purpose of it really was just so that we would have a tool for ourselves in our classrooms, in our district, to use to teach these skills.
When we started out, really, it was just Gerald, myself, and a few other librarians that were working together so that we could help our students, knowing that there really wasn't much out there, but knowing that kids are getting on the internet and searching at a much younger age. And like Gerald said, they use what they know, and what they knew was Google. And unfortunately for our students, Google was not the best place for them to start. So when we started, we really just wanted to just find a place for our kids to go that we had control over, that we knew they would be able to learn how to use the internet properly to get electronic resources. The young students needed skills. Like Gerald said, when I left this workshop, I was all excited about teaching students, but really the tools weren't out there. It was much more for secondary students. I don't know about the rest of you, but our district does spend a little bit of money on these databases, and unless we teach our kids how to use them and why to use them, they're not using them, and that's not money well spent. And the other thing is, there's so much information out there and readily accessible to children, they're never going to know it all. But we felt that it was so important for them to know how to find the information, because there's not enough time in their lifetime to learn and know all of the information. So that's kind of where we started with the website, you know, our goal being information literacy.
One of our lessons is we show them what happens, if you're, for example, doing a research report about explorers, if you go to Google and you type in explorers, what comes up? And we show them that there is this whole raft of other stuff that would be irrelevant to a fourth or fifth grader doing research about Christopher Columbus. We have the Environmental Explorers Club. We've got the Sioux City Explorers, which is a minor league baseball team. I don't know if any of you here are from that area, but all kinds of diving websites and so on and so forth. Of course, there's also Internet Explorer and the Ford Explorer. And, of course, Dora the Explorer, and we always get a great response from the kids. They love seeing that slide when it comes up. But the point is that, if you just type in Explorers into Google, you're going to get millions of hits. And to wade through all of that and figure out what's going to be the most useful information for your particular project is something that, fourth and fifth grade kids don't have the skills to know how to do that. An adult that goes online and searches for something in Google, typically you've got the background experience to be able to do a more specific search and to also scan through the results and figure out, this is relevant, this is not relevant, this is something that, and to be able to pick out the things that are going to help you the most. Kids don't have those skills. Kids don't have that background. So we decided to put together this website. The rationale behind it was that we would have control over the content. If we developed the site ourselves, we would know everything that goes into it. It would be based on our district curriculum, and as I said originally, this was strictly designed for us to use within our own district and within our own classrooms. And then also to give the kids some real-life experience with doing this kind of thing, doing this kind of website evaluation in a safe and controlled environment. So that's really where the website came from and kind of how we developed it. This might be a good place to stop and ask if anybody has any about the rationale or how we put it together.
Are there any questions that you might want to ask at this point? If so, just let us know. You can raise your hand, or we can proceed and take questions also at the end of the session. So, how long ago did you start the website, Gerald?
I believe it was about 5-6 years ago that we actually started it, and it's been a work in progress ever since.
And what grade levels is this primarily for? Kinder through 5th or 1st?
No. We built it around like 4th, 5th grade. But one of the features of the website is that we do have it differentiated according to ability level, and that's something we were going to talk about in our presentation. So depending upon the ability level of some of your students, you could use some of the more basic ones with some younger students.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions?
Content, the reading level of the reading. All right, doesn't look like there are more questions, so let's jump into talking a little bit about how the site is organized. We kind of geared this presentation today towards teachers and educators who might be using this in their classrooms. So we'll kind of walk you through the teacher side of it. And certainly it's something that you can check out on your own. The site is organized four major sections. We have our Explorer biographies, which we'll show you in a bit. And those are sort of the core of the site. What we did was we wrote, we had a group of teachers and librarians in the district who all collaborated on writing these biographies, and we had a heck of a lot of fun sitting down and figuring out how we were going to write these. We did actually do research, and we looked at the real life biographies of the people that we were writing about, and then we kind of took a fractured fairy tale approach to rewriting the bios for our site. And we threw in a few bits and pieces of correct information or almost correct information, and then there's some other information in the biographies that is kind of sort of correct, but hasn't, it's been changed a little bit, and then threw in some other things that were complete fiction, in some cases totally absurd kinds of things. For example, if you look at the Henry Hudson biography, this is one of my favorite examples. Towards the end of that, we have a sentence that talks about how researchers believe that Hudson may have been abducted by aliens at some point in his career. So we threw some things in like that because we wanted to one of the main points of the site was to show kids that just because you find it on the internet, just because it's out there, doesn't necessarily mean it's true. That anybody that wants to write something or post something has the ability to do that on the internet. So we developed these biographies, and then around the biographies we wrote treasure hunts, which are short, simple lesson activities to do with their students, to show them the website and the biographies with more accurate biographies. Or also wrote a more detailed web quest that's an involved project, and again we'll show you the specifics of that a little bit later in the presentation. We also have a teacher resource site or a teacher resource section that has all of the lessons that we use. We decided to post those on the website so that anybody that uses it has access to it. And then a key page of the website is, because we teach our students that one of the first things they should do when they come across an internet resource is to check out the source, find out who wrote it, find out where the information came from. So we created a page on our site about this site that very clearly and very specifically says that the information there is not accurate. It explains the specific purpose why we created it, and in large, bold, pink letters it says, "Don't use this. Don't use the biographies here as reference for your research." No, Peggy, just because it's a professor to mean it's accurate. So that's how the site is organized. Lauren, is there anything else you wanted to throw in about that?
I think a main part of the organization is that we put this information up there so that anybody could go to the site and use the lessons and teach it right from the website. Anything that you need to do this unit is all out there. We created it for everyone to use. We actually created it for us to use, and then it just took off, so we just put it out there for anyone who wanted to use it. So if you haven't used it, please feel free.
Website. All right. It's the first time I've done this, so bear with me for a moment. All right. Hopefully everybody is seeing the window on your screen now.
Yeah, Gerald, I see it.
Yeah. Okay.
Gerald, hang on just a sec, because did a web tour pop up for everybody inside Illuminate, or just an external window?
Mine's outside.
Okay, so let me put your site here. And is it showing up now? And you can click on that if everybody will refrain from clicking, because we can all interact with the content in the web tour. So Gerald or Lauren, if y'all will be the only ones, you can actually click on the web tour window and demonstrate what you wanted to show us.
All right, terrific. This is the front page of the screen that shows up when you when you go to the website, and we were very careful down here at the bottom to just about this site link. So let me take you there first, because as I said, this is something that we tell our students. This is really the first place you should go at a new website to find out about it. And so we gave a very detailed description of the background, that some of which I just explained to you. And then this section here, a note about the content in the site. That's where we explain that people should not use the site in their own the biographies. So let me go here. If you click for teachers at the top, here's an explanation of the some of the content, and you can see this list of blue, green, and red dots that show different levels of the lesson. So, so what we've done is we've differentiated the treasure hunts so that you can, if you have the different levels of students in your class, you can group their ability and then assign them different tours when you do the first lesson. Then we have the lessons down towards the bottom, and then all of the materials that you need for the lessons are also linked directly here on the site, so you can see that, and then some other links and references. So let me go to the treasure hunt page. On the treasure hunt page are links to the individual treasure hunts, and again, we have the red dots, green dots, blue dots that show the level. And it's Christopher Columbus, since he's a well-known explorer. And this is what the treasure hunt looks like. So when the students come in to the first lesson, this is really often their first exposure to the website, is they'll see this treasure hunt page, and they'll be asked to do this research with the different things. And I'm
Gerald,
seeing some comments. Yeah.
I'm not sure that we're able to follow along with you. If you look at the top of your web tour window, is there a check next to tour guide in that little box?
Mine popped up in a different window, so maybe that's the problem. Let me...
Within Illuminate, where it says web tour at the top?
Let me do this. When I clicked on web tour, it became separate in a browser window. So I'm not sure how to get it to show up in the...
Okay, it's showing now inside Illuminate.
Okay, but mine came up, going to show up in the... It's probably not going to show up in the web tour then, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't get to hear that. Your audio is kind of choppy, fading in and out.
I apologize. When you started that web tour, it popped up for me in a separate window, not in the Illuminate window.
But it does say web tour at the top?
No, it doesn't. It's just the website.
Okay. If you'll, Gerald, if you click on the blue globe, the tools at the top, and then type in the URL, it should start the web tour within Illuminate. So can you try that again?
Yes, I can. Nope, came up in a browser window again.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that keeps happening. Are you able to see the web tour window now, Gerald, that I just put up?
Yeah, it came up
In
in my
Illuminate?
browser Illuminate. Yep.
But it is or it's not in Illuminate?
It is not for me, no.
Gerald, why don't we just follow along? If people can we just click as Gerald gives the instructions, or when we're talking, if people want to follow along in the website, is that possible?
It sure is. Lauren, if you want to try one time to do the web tour, if not, I can put it back up.
Did that come in?
Yes, it did for me. Is there a check next to the box that says tour guide?
Yes, there is.
We want yours to be checked and nobody else's to be checked.
Okay, I have it checked.
Okay, then you should be able to click and we should be able to follow along with you.
Okay, is everybody's screen changing right now?
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
Lauren, I'll let you run it then, Lauren, because it's not working for me.
Okay, so I just clicked into About This Site, and as you can see, we give the rationale for the website, which we spoke about earlier. And you see the purple highlighted where we talk about, please don't use this for your real classroom information. This is fictional, you know. Please don't. We don't want to be responsible for your bad grades. And then what we do is down here in the bottom corner, we always tell kids to look for who are the professional people responsible for the site. You know, are they the expert in nuclear physics? Are they really well versed in what they're talking about? So we wrote up our biographies, and as you can see, if you read through our biographies, I'm a voiceover actor. Really not. So we even took it to the next extent, and and here I enjoy my soft drinks, disco, and creating origami paper power tools. So we did it here, and then we were hoping at this point that they would catch on, and then for the real story, here we are. We're just regular teachers. We're people out there trying to help kids learn and be information literate people. And it wasn't just us, it truly was the other librarians in Centennial School District that worked with us and created the lessons and tested everything out for us, and now we've had some great information from others. And a good idea today actually about how to incorporate keyword searching. So Gerald, we might want to add a section on teaching kids how to do keyword searching. When we go back to Explorers A to Z, here we go, and for anyone just doing research about any Explorer, you can click on, I like Sir Francis Drake here. Please note also that none of the photographs are real, none of the maps are real, it is all made up. So as I click on Sir Francis Drake, as I am here in New Jersey vacationing with my family at the beach, Sir Francis Drake was born in Wayne, New Jersey, and he loved the shore town of Wildwood, for those of you from the East Coast. And he is actually the reason why Drake's Cakes, anybody ever had a coffee cake? Drake's Coffee Cakes are named after Sir Francis Drake. But the amazing thing to us is that kids just don't even get it. They'll read this and they'll believe it because it's out on the internet. And as I said, that is not Sir Francis Drake, nor if you look at the map, is that the route that he took.
Yeah, one of the things I like about this particular picture in particular, if you look closely, he's sitting there holding a banana.
Gerald
so maybe
did
he
an
makes
excellent
banana
job.
coffee.
Yeah, did an excellent job creating all of the graphics and creating the routes of these maps. How we start out the lessons. As you can see, there's our differentiation clues there. But what we do is we, okay, so Francis Drake going here. If you click on one, all of them have a mission, you know, where was he born? These are the ones that the answers in our website are completely fake, but we also take them to a real website that, and when I open this up, see if it'll take us there. So you can see the difference. Does it take me? It won't take me to that link. But if you were to go to the Sir Francis Drake page at Zoom Explorers, the information and the answer to these 3 questions are all going to be real. But the page is not as colorful, it's black and white, it's pretty basic, and if the kids have a choice, they tend to pick the answers from our page because this to them looks like more professional, so therefore they're going to use this one. And ours, of course, is fake. And they all pretty much fall for it because it's on the internet, it looks good, there's photographs, there are maps, so of course if it's out there and looking like this, they're going to pick our site. Let me see what else. If we go, any questions at this point about the biographies? No questions about the biographies. Okay.
Let's walk them through the lessons then, Lauren.
Okay. So here you go. Here are the differentiation levels here. So the first lesson, just because it's out there doesn't mean it's good, is really, if the students walk away with anything from this whole unit, I truly hope that they think twice when they go out on the internet to get information. They do the treasure hunt that we just showed you, and then we really spend some time talking about the importance of having background knowledge before you get out on the internet. Adults, as we have grown up, we've gathered all this background knowledge. We have the schemata to build on, but our elementary students really don't have that background knowledge. So we tell them, you know, check an encyclopedia out, check the books in the libraries. Those have been reviewed. Those have been viewed by many people before they end up in a library. Are you seeing what I'm saying? Can you see the different lessons now? Is that up on everyone's page? Okay, great. Then we talk about, yes, on the internet there is good information. So how do you find the good information? And we take the students through a 1, 2, 3 approach. And one being, you know, after you've gone to a book and you have some information, then the first place you should go to is subscription databases. And we teach the kids that, you know, subscriptions cost money. And if your school district is paying for it, or in our case, the state of Pennsylvania has been so kind to pay for Access PA Power Library. So we have some great databases available to us that are being paid for. You know, people are going to pay for good things, usually and hopefully. So please use those. If your school is has online encyclopedia access, then we hope that the students are using that information. It's still on the computer. You're still going out on the internet, but it's more reliable than just Googling something. So after we tell them you go to a subscription database, that's step 1. Then we teach them about subject directories such as kidsclick.org, and we talk about, you know, look, here are librarians that are putting together all of these different directories. So these are websites that have been viewed by librarians that have been considered good and usable. In Centennial, we also have a list of pathfinders that we've put together for the different grades and ages and curricular areas. And then finally, if they need to, we talk about search engines. And if you notice, it's the third item on the computer that you go to. It's not the first, it's the last, because we talk about doing a search on Google and how in a matter of less than 1 second, millions of hits come up, and I'm sure all of you know this already. it would take more than their lifetime to evaluate all of those websites, to find the good ones, when in reality, in subject directories and subscription databases, this information has been viewed by people already. So there's really no need to go to the search engine at this point. The fourth lesson, where exactly am I? We try to teach them the difference between .com, .org, .edu. And then in the fifth lesson, we have them actually going back and correcting the mistakes that we've made purposefully in our biographies. If you scroll down, you'll also see all of the, do you see it here, all the worksheets? Can you see it, Gerald?
Yes.
Okay. All the worksheets for all the different lessons are here. So it's very, very user-friendly, and anything that you need is available for you to get. Gerald,
another
where
point
am I in
about
our outline?
Just another point I wanted to make about that fifth lesson, where the webmaster email address at this site is actually a live email address, webmaster@allaboutexplorers.com. So when we have the students write to that email address, I have actually gotten emails from students, from teachers that use the site and have done these lessons. And thank you, Peggy. And I typically, whenever possible, I will write back and I will respond to the student comments. You know, occasionally I've had trouble with school district email filters blocking it out, but for the most part, I'm able to write back and give them feedback. So the students actually get direct feedback from us at the website, and you know, we'll respond to whatever comments that they make during that fifth lesson. Peggy, that brings up another interesting thing about how often we get live people responding to the website. We have gotten a number of, actually the majority of the emails that I get at that webmaster address are not from students and teachers. They're from people that come across the site during doing exactly what we tell our students not to do. You know, they'll do a search for Amerigo Vespucci, for example, online, and our site actually comes up in Google searches, and these days it's relatively high. You know, often it's the second or third page of the search, and they will write to me and say, do you realize that this fact is wrong? Or sometimes they'll tell me something along the lines of, we think your site has been hacked because somebody changed the information and it's all wrong. You know, people that haven't bothered to check out the About page. So I'll respond to those also. The other thing that happens too, and this has happened a couple of times, we've gotten requests from people who want to use our content, and specifically they wanted to use the maps that I created, which are all completely fictional, completely made up on the spot. One person wanted to download all of our maps and use them for an activity in his classroom because he thought that they looked really good and they were the best ones that he had found. He didn't check out to see whether they were actually valid or not. He just took it on faith that the content was good. We actually get a lot of correspondence from people who run into the site and either think that we're nuts or don't realize that the information is bad and want to use it. Lauren, was there anything else that we were going to go over?
I'm sorry, you had the slides. Where are we in our slides? I think.
Well, we actually covered a lot of the we covered most of what was in the rest of the slides in the web tour, so we'll skip over that, I think.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about any parts while we're still in the web tour? Anybody have any questions?
One person asked about how long it took you to develop the site.
It's still a work in progress. Honestly, truthfully, like I said before, we truly started this just for our own classroom use, and it has actually taken on a life of its own. So the more people that use it and the more feedback that we get, we are very willing to add, change, whatever helps other people use it. We're always looking for new ideas. Gerald, do you want to talk about how we're updating the site itself?
Yeah, I was going to say we could let our audience here be the first public viewers of the beta version of the site that's under development right now. We are in the process of rebuilding the whole site from the ground up with some new features and some new content, mostly new features. We haven't really developed a lot of new content yet. But if you go to allaboutexplorers.com/beta, and Laura,
you want me to do that right now?
Yeah, because I don't have control of that. Please keep in mind that this is very much a beta version. There's a lot of stuff that isn't there yet. Not all of the content has been transferred over, so I would definitely not use this live with students yet in a classroom setting, but feel free to explore. One of the features that we're adding to the new site, to the new version of the site, is the ability to register as a registered user. That way you can be kept up to date with when we update things, we can contact you through the website. It also gives you the ability to communicate with us more directly, suggest, comment on the lessons, find a mistake, find an error. You can let us know that way. We are still, we're what, 5 or 6 years into this now, and we are still completely floored every time we discover that somebody else is using the site and finds it useful. We can't emphasize enough the fact that we created this originally just for us, and that it was not intended to be a widely distributed website. So anytime somebody writes to us and says, we like your site, it's really cool, we're still completely floored by that. So please do let us know how you're using it and make suggestions and make recommendations. We're no more experts than you are at any of this. And yes, we are on Twitter. Let me put in the Twitter name is Explorers. So you can go to twitter.com/explorers and see our Twitter page. We need to get Lauren more active on Twitter, but
I'm there. I just don't tweet. I take it in.
Yeah, she has 0 updates at the moment. But we're trying to move the site into a more interactive kind of situation. One of the things that we're hoping to do, I haven't worked out the specifics exactly how this is going to work yet, but and Jennifer, that's a great question. I'll come back to that in just a second. One of the things that we're hoping to do is to make those treasure hunts a little bit more directly interactive. Right now, the students have to do, it requires some teacher involvement. The students have to write their responses down on paper, and then there's really no way in the website of entering the information. We're hoping to create those treasure hunts in a way that allows the students to actually type in their responses and to create a printout that they can turn in instead of having to write it by hand.
Teacher who might be.
Yeah, I want to do. wanted to go back to somebody asked a question about how we put the site together, and I just wanted to answer that quickly. The original website was actually all, it was developed with some software. It was a static HTML site. I used Dreamweaver and some other software to pull that all together. But each page was web page. The new version is built on top of a content management system called Drupal. And that's what's giving us the ability to add all of these more interactive and dynamic features. Drupal is open source. It's free. You can download it. As a matter of fact, there's a link at the bottom of the beta page to take you to the Drupal site. We thought it was well worth including that there. I'm finding it is, for people who are new to website design and that sort of thing, I would not recommend jumping right into Drupal. It is very, very time-consuming to learn, and it has a very steep learning curve. But if you know something about web design and that sort of thing, it's extremely powerful, and I'm finding it is able to do everything that I need it to do for this site. There are other, if you're doing a more simple site, there are other tools that are simpler to get into, and that's really sort of beyond the scope of what we're talking about today. Lauren, what was the other question that came up that you wanted to answer?
I'm scrolling back up to find it here. Someone who has, oh, here it is. What suggestions from Lorraine? What suggestions do you have for a teacher who might be interested in using this site regarding the time that they might allow for one lesson? I think I would do I would do a treasure hunt with them. I would send them to the website, give them an explore to research the 3 basic facts, and just have them answer maybe 1 or 2 of the questions using both websites, the real one and ours, and then really just get across the idea that you really have to be aware of what's out there, that you're not always going to find the best information on the internet. So as long as they're aware. I mean, it's amazing that students believe just because it's on the internet that it's got to be good. If somebody's putting it up there, then they have access to it and then it's good. At the elementary age, they truly believe that. So if you can teach them to think twice before going out there, I think that's a very powerful lesson.
In terms of the length of the lessons, we've designed them really to take about 45 minutes each. We have been able to kind of condense them into about a half an hour per lesson. If you really need to, you can streamline them and pull some things out. But 45 minutes is a good length of time to plan for each one of the lessons that's at the site. Another point that we really try to make with our students, and this goes back to how information gets on the internet, we actually show them the process that it takes for information that's in our library, what it takes for that information to get to the school library. There are maybe a dozen different levels of people interaction where writers, editors, reviewers, selectors, publishers, that whole process. And in each step along the way, different people are looking at it and evaluating it and checking it and weeding out the stuff that is not quality information. And from an adult perspective, you still get books that are published that have poor quality information. But the point we wanted to make for the students is that because there are people involved in that selection process all the way along the way, they can be very trusting of the books that we find in the school library because so many different people have checked that and we think are going to be invalid information. Likes for information to get on the internet, and basically it's somebody has an idea and they can post it on the internet. At the end of that first lesson, we tell the students, we reveal to the students that we actually created the website ourselves, and I tell them that they could write me a story and hand it to me, and an hour later, I could have it posted on that website for anybody in the world to see. There's nobody checking that. There's nobody saying, "Hey, wait a minute, that's no good. You can't put it up here." So that's something that students don't often realize, is that anybody who wants to post something on the internet can just do it without anybody checking that.
That's a great point, Gerald, that I don't think younger students take into account. And just like Lauren said, they just assume that if it's on the internet, it's valid and it's accurate.
Yep, that's exactly right. And so if the students walk away from our site and walk away from our lessons with only one thing that they remember 6 months or a year later, it's that just because it's on the internet does not necessarily mean that it's true. And they need to be critical thinkers, and they need to be they need to question everything that they see. I actually find myself doing that more and more now, just because of developing this site. I'll look at a story that I see on the internet, and instead of just taking it at face value, I step back and I think, wait a minute, maybe this, let me check this out. Who wrote it? Where did it come from? So I find my own skills growing just because I've had to work on it to develop the site.
Yeah, this also actually backfired one day. I remember we did this lesson and we finished up, and we like to ask the kids, what did you learn from this lesson today? And I'll never forget, one fifth grader looks me straight in the eye and goes, "Yeah, never trust your librarian."
I don't think that was quite the message that you were looking for.
No, it wasn't. But you know what? He's not as trusting, so that's okay. I did gain his trust back.
That's not a bad thing, yeah.
Yeah, I did gain his trust back, though.
That is true. That is so funny, and thank you for sharing that. I just love the site, and I just thank you for making it. I'm not in the classroom at this time, but if I go back and I'm teaching elementary students, you can guarantee that I will be using this site. I was just enamored with it and thought I have to just have you on the show. And so we're so grateful that you both came on today. And thank you so much, Gerald and Lauren, for doing this for all students, whether they're elementary, middle, high school, and adults. You can use this regardless, and adapt it to fit whatever grade level students that you work with. And so thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us, and anybody out there, if you really have any ideas for us, we're really constant learners, so thank you, and please give us any ideas that you have.
We definitely
Absolutely,
will.
And we'll also be announcing on Twitter and through the website when the new version will go live. I have no particular target date for it at this point. Sort of when it's ready, we'll switch it over, but we're working on it busily. Doing it now while I have time until school starts.
Yes, we're definitely running out of time. And speaking of time, next week, August 15th, there will not be a show because Illuminate's going to be undergoing maintenance. So we apologize. We're going to have to cancel the show next Saturday. The entire day will be devoted with Illuminate to maintenance. But we will be back on August 22nd with Shambles Guru, who is also known as Chris Smith. And we're going to be talking about Web 2.0 start pages and finding out what are start pages for websites, blogs, and wikis, and why do you want to use a Web 2.0 start page. So be sure to join us again on August 22nd. And on August 19th, that Wednesday, we're going to be doing part 2 of the RSS feeds, tagging, and feed readers of our beginner series, which is an extension of Classroom 2.0 Live with Sue Waters. And that's going to be Wednesday at 8 p.m. on August 19th Eastern for U.S. folks, and Thursday at 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Time for those over in Australia, on the other side of the world from most of us in the U.S. So be sure to stay tuned for that as well. And there are several sites that Steve Hargadon has started or had a hand in organizing. And on August the 12th, Steve is going to be hosting another interview series with Dan Schwabel, who wrote Me 2.0, and talking about personal branding in the age of the Internet. And that's going to be on August 12th at 5 p.m. Pacific or 8 p.m. Eastern. And he will also be interviewing on August 18th, that Tuesday, at 4:30 p.m. Pacific or 7:30 p.m. Eastern. He'll be interviewing Howard Rheingold. So you're going to want to stay tuned for those two interview series sessions with Steve. And I'm going to be posting the survey in just a bit. And we hope that you will fill out our survey and give feedback to Illuminate, but more importantly to us, to let us know what you're interested in, what topics you'd like to be in the show. And we want to thank our very special guests, Gerald and Lauren, for joining us today, as well as Steve Hargadon, who is the founder of Classroom 2.0, Future of Education, and Conversations.net. And I'm sure down the road there'll be lots more to add to Steve's contributions to network communities. Thank you so much to everybody who joined us today, and especially to Illuminate. And we're so glad that each of you took time out of your day, morning or evening, or nighttime, if you're shambles in Thailand, to join us and share this time with us. And so please make sure that you join us and mark your calendar on August 22nd, when we will be back after Illuminate does their maintenance. And let me go ahead and post now the survey link in the chat, as well as on the whiteboard. You can click from either both places for the link to the survey. And I'm also going to go ahead and post the Share Tabs link. And we thank you for staying and joining us today. And have a great day, weekend, or night. And we will see you on the 22nd. Thank you so much, everybody. And thanks again, Lauren and Gerald.